Hi, hello and welcome back to F1 Challenge VB. My name is Mephisto and our journey through the history of Formula 1 continues today with the third round of the 1964 season, the Belgian Grand Prix. It was held on the 14th of June. It had 20 entries, 18 of them took part in the race with 8 having to retire. The race consisted of 32 laps completed in 2 hours, 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Dan Gurney started the race from pole with Graham Hill in 2nd, Brabham 3rd, Rundle 4th, Surtees 5th and Clark 6th. After a phenomenal drive, Jim Clark won the Belgian Grand Prix from McLaren, crossed the line just 3.4 seconds after Clark. Brabham finished 3rd, he was 48.1 seconds down. Ginther came home in 4th, he was 1 minute 58.6 seconds adrift. Graham Hill suffered a fuel pump failure on lap 31 but was classified in 5th, and Dan Gurney ran out of fuel on lap 31 but was classified in 6th. The fastest man of the race was Dan Gurney, who set a lap time of 3 minutes 49.2 seconds. Welcome to the fantastic Spa Francorchamps circuit, where a lap starts off with a short sprint down the hill, then up through Eau Rouge, a fun but dangerous right-left sweeper. Then we come through Le Combe, a medium-speed left-hander with a bit of a camber to help you keep the momentum going. After a very long right-hander, we come into Malmedy, a blind left-right chicane. You need to be extremely careful through here, as the slightest mistake could end in disaster. This brings us onto the longest straight on the track, the Masta Straight, which ends with the Masta King, a very fast left-right chicane. Next we come through Stavelot, a long right-hander that tightens towards the exit. Eventually we reach Blanchimont, a fast left-hander. Do be careful, as it is very easy to let the car go too wide. And finally we make our way into La Source, a tight right-hand hairpin, brake just before the billboards and take a wide an angle as possible, making sure not to use too much power on the exit. But that brings us around onto the main straight, and that is a lap around the Spa Francorchamps circuit. And here we are in qualifying, coming around to set our first qualifying lap, a 3:28.956, which boosts us onto pole. Hopefully we can stay here. However, I was a bit skeptical, so I wanted to try and improve on this lap time as much as I could. And sure enough, Mike Spence managed to beat my pole time, and then I tried to improve on my previous pole time, but I couldn't too much. I managed to set a 3:28.7. That's a bit of an improvement, but not too much, and unfortunately we are not going to start from pole. And here are the previous Belgian Grand Prix winners. The last time Andy won here was back in 1953, so that was a very long time ago. Hopefully things will change here today. I know I've said that through the entire season up until now, but I really hope that it will happen. Anyway, here we have the gridwalk, and we see Gerhard Mitter in 5th, André Pilet in 6th, Graham Hill 7th, Andy Higgs down in 8th. Kind of unfortunate, but that's what we get. Joe Siffert is 9th, Bruce McLaren 10th, followed by Joe Bonnier in 11th, and Bob Anderson in 12th. Hap Sharp is 13th, 14th is Edgar Barth, followed by Phil Hill in 15th, and 16th is John Taylor. In 17th we have Frank Gardner, followed by Dan Gurney in 18th. Jack Brabham is 19th, 20th is Richie Ginther, 21st Mike Hillwood, 22nd Peter Revston, and in 23rd we have Karel Godin de Beaufort. So that is the grid lineup for the 1964 Belgian Grand Prix, and hopefully it's going to be a good race for Andy and everyone else, obviously, but mainly for Andy. We would really want to win here because we need those points, and that was quite a slow start. I was a bit slow to react, however I do manage to keep it together as we now come up to Eau Rouge behind Graham Hill, looking for an opportunity to overtake here on the inside. And there we go, we are now in 7th and chasing after Belgian André Pilet in the yellow Scirocco car there, and we have a replay of the start here. Someone drives his car straight into André Pilet. That was quite interesting. Anyway, that was a pretty slow start on Andy's part. Bit slow to react there, really, more than anything else. But eventually we got going and even managed to gain a position as we came on to the Camel Straight. Anyway, coming through this right-hander, I managed to pass a bunch of cars that were going very slow, so we move up into 2nd position already, and the opening lap isn't even finished. And then coming through the final 2 corners, I managed to overtake Mike Spence for the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. He kind of pokes his nose in front of me but couldn't keep it there, and coming out of the corner in first place, here to finish the first lap of the race, starting lap 2 now, and we are in the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. That's absolutely fantastic as we now move on to lap 4 here, coming out of the Malmedy left-right chicane, and we managed to put a pretty much huge gap on Peter Arundel, who is now in second. And here we see a replay of Jack Brabham, who goes wide coming into La Source there, and Eau Rouge there, and loses control of his car and pretty much flies up off the map. Then on lap 5 I tried to get around Karel Godin before there, who puts his car right in front of me. Like he was supposed to give me way. He was being lapped. I'm not sure what he was thinking. He actually pulled in front of me, caused me to lose control. Thankfully I managed to keep the engine running, so we are back in the race, but that could have ended very, very badly for us as we now move on to lap 6, and now Gerhard Mitter is in second, and we've pulled quite a bit of a gap, 25 seconds to Gerhard Mitter, as we take a look at a replay of Bob Anderson here, who is coming through the Com and loses control of his car, gets hit by someone and tries to get back in the race, however decides to retire. And we also have a replay of Peter Arundel coming through Lecom, gets tangled up with someone, and that is the end of Arundel's race as well, because he kind of gave up after this. So that's that, I guess. As we now come around towards the end of lap 6, I was running out of fuel and had to come into pits for some more fuel. Gerhard Mitter is right behind us and closing in very, very fast. Hopefully we can get fuel into our tank before he can overtake us. And we are once again on the move, which is absolutely fantastic. And thanks to the fact that there are no speed limits back in 1964, we can go as fast as we can and keep our lead. We managed to exit the pits with 5 seconds between ourselves and Gerhard Mitter. That's absolutely fantastic. As we now move on to lap 8, we've built a gap on Jim Clark, who is now in second position. So that's fantastic. Hopefully we can actually keep it in the race all the way to the end, as we take a look at a replay of John Taylor, who seems to have smoke coming out of his engine. Yes, indeed, there's smoke coming out of his engine. He pulls to the side of the track there, and he is out of the Belgian Grand Prix as well. As we come around to finish the race on lap 11 here to win the Belgian Grand Prix. Fantastic news for Andy Higgs, especially since he hasn't won in a very, very long time. However, there were a few things happening on this lap. We see Joe Siffert just starting his final lap, goes wide through Eau Rouge there and flips his car upside down. He is out of the race. And then Dan Gurney coming through the final 2 corners of the track here, losing control of his car, flipping it upside down, and he is out of the race with just a couple of 100 meters from the start finish line. That's absolutely that should be very, very disappointing for him. As we take a look at a replay of Andy Higgs coming around to set the fastest lap of the race and win the Belgian Grand Prix as well. So that's quite a nice thing, I guess. So that was a pretty good race for Andy. Kind of easy, I would say. I'm not quite sure what the AI was doing, but hey, we did it, so that's very, very welcome, especially since we haven't won in Belgium in such a long time. As we take a look at the race results, and there are even more. There are a lot of people actually managed to finish, even Dan Gurney and Joe Siffert, who actually managed to complete 90% of race distance. As we now take a look at the retirements, quite a few people. So that was the Belgian Grand Prix. I think that was a pretty good result for Andy. But anyway, here are the career statistics, and this was Andy's 124th Grand Prix. His best start is from first, has 8 pole positions, has set 18 fastest laps. His best finishes in first, has completed 80 races, 64 of them in the points, has won 37 Grand Prix, 4 at the Indianapolis 500, 6 in Monaco, has 7 championships under his belt, has scored a total of 436 points, has retired 44 times, has experienced 2,681 out of 3,321 laps, has 6 bronze trophies, 14 silver trophies, 37 gold trophies, and as an extension, 37 podiums. And here is a quick look at the championship standings. Andy Higgs and Jim Clark sharing the lead with Surtees in 3rd, Peter Revston in 4th, Gerhard Mitter 5th, and Mike Spence in 6th. The last person to score points is Frank Gardner in 13th, and Ludovico Scarfiotti bringing up the bottom of the standings down in 31st. So those are the drivers. Let's now take a quick look at the constructors, and here we see Team Lotus leading the Constructors Championship from Honda on 2nd, Ferrari 3rd, Peter Revston in 4th, 5th, Bernard Colomb, and then we have Maurice Tintignant, Siffert Racing Team, and Rick Parnell Racing sharing 6th. The last team to score points are John Wilmot Automobiles in 10th, and bringing up the bottom of the constructor standings are DW Racing Enterprises. So that was the Belgian Grand Prix. Very good result for both Andy and Honda, obviously. That was a good race. Well, it wasn't an exciting race, but it was a good result in the end for Andy, so that's quite a good thing, especially since, again, Andy hasn't won here in a very, very long time. But anyway, our next race is the French Grand Prix at Rouen this time instead of Reims, so that's going to be quite exciting. Looking forward to that, although I'm not very fond of the circuit. But hey, you cannot like all the circuits, right? But yeah, that is the end of this video. Don't really know what else to add to any of this. Happy for Andy. Hopefully we can have a couple more wins this season and maybe even win the championship. And I probably jinxed myself there, so that's going to be quite interesting going forward. But anyway, that is the end of the video, so don't forget to vote for next season's team. Link is in the description. I also have a second channel where I will be playing all sorts of different games. At the moment I'm doing a playthrough of Homefront and the Red Solstice, so if you're interested in any of those games and more, there will be a link in the description to my second channel as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay sharp.